think we have to refresh.
Coffee's ready. Or was it the pizza? Ah, someone's cell phone went off. Or was that text messaging?
Who's Dr. Angela?
Let's see. Well, welcome back. This is an evening to do with loneliness. Lonely is the long-distance runner. In this case, it might just well be the long-distance running female, which we hope to get to before this night is over with. But before I go any further, what I'd like to do is to share with you the article, the scientific article that came out recently having to do with loneliness and how it could eventually kill us. Feeling lonely can raise blood pressure, stress, and the risk of depression. Being lonely is bad for your health, as smoking and obesity experts have warned. Being cut off from friends and family can raise blood pressure and weaken the immune system. This is all according to the American Association for the Advancement of Science's annual conference. It can also make it harder to sleep and even speed the progression of dementia. Again, this is according to a psychologist who was there, John Cacioppo. He found loneliness raises levels of the hormone cortisol and can push blood pressure up into the danger zone for heart attacks and for strokes. Now, research showed the difference in health between the lonely and the more social person, the more active, could be as great as between smokers and non-smokers. Now, this professor continued, and this is a direct quote, "When time takes its toll on the body, loneliness steepens that slope of descent." In his study, the loneliest people had blood pressure readings up 30 points, 30 points higher than those who had most active lives, making them 3 times more likely to develop heart disease and stroke, and twice as likely to die from people with normal blood pressure. Now, high levels of cortisol can also suppress the immune system, raising a person's vulnerability to disease. The lonely also sleep more fiddly. They feel lethargic during the day and are more likely to rely on sleeping tablets. Loneliness has other numerous effects on health, including accelerating the pace of dementia. It's not clear why this is, but it may be their brains lack the suppleness of those who socialize on a regular basis. Now, when researchers compared the health of people who shut themselves away from the world with the gregarious types, they found a difference as great between smokers and non-smokers. Beg my pardon. Professor Cacioppo said the phenomenon was usually relevant in today's fragmented society where people communicate mostly over the internet rather than face-to-face.
Michael, from a personal level, Dr. Angelo asked, are you lonely?
There are times when I'm lonely, and I think everyone has moments of loneliness. I hate to say this, but I think women, by and large, suffer loneliness more than men. Now, I'm sure there are some studies there that will show that perhaps men find outlets more readily available than women.
Vasir Mutar is quoting a 1987 statistic saying that 8.5 million elderly lived alone. By 2020, in 87, 8.5 million elderly lived alone. By 2020, 13.3 million elderly will live alone, and that more than 6.5 million, or 77% of all elderly living alone, are women.
What's going to happen unless these men find some sort of companionship, some sort of connection? Now, it doesn't have to be with the internet, it doesn't have to be with text messaging, it doesn't have to be over the phone. It can be the store, It can be the mailman. It can be the person that they see on a regular basis. You don't need quantity in your life. You need quality. You develop the friendship with whom you have. You know, there was an old song from the 60s and 70s. It's love the one you're with. If you can't be with the one you love the one you're with. And that means a lot.
But according to another statistic, loneliness appears to be more prevalent in modern times, and also it frequently occurs in heavily populated cities where people are with other people. So if you're suggesting that despite connections on the internet, we need to make connections with people, is it a different kind of connection that we need?
It is a different kind of connection. It's a connection where you let your guard down, where you actually let go. You have to realize that we were not born to be disconnected. We were born in nature to be together, to socialize, but not the type of socialization that we think we have to do today, that we have to keep up with the Joneses, that we have to always be concerned with what our peer groups are telling us to do. We have to look and see how we can be compassionate with one another. We have to look at another person as someone that we truly do love. Now, it's not everyone. And again, I say that you must choose your friend. You must look at a person that you want to invest your time into and love them. Love them in a way that you're placing them often above your own interest. You want to give of them, of yourself, and perhaps elevate them, just as a mother would elevate the child and place the child's needs above hers. We have to do that. We can't rely on the internet and Facebook to do that.
What if instead of love, I feel hate?
I'd rather stick with loneliness and love. I can't deal with hate. I mean, hatred is something that we have to realize is a capacity that we might have. I think in order to understand love, we have to know that there can be hate. Some people say that it's a very thin line between love and hate. I don't want to cross that line. I don't want to feel I hate anything. Now, there were two people in my life that I said I would love to just go ahead and pee on their graves. I'll tell you, one was a judge in Philadelphia by the name, well, I'm not going to mention his name, but if he died, I would go over and I'd be first in line to, and then there was a lieutenant colonel in Vietnam, boy. But I've gotten to the point where I realized that what I thought was hate was displeasure, irritation, something that now looking back I can understand they had their own conditions, their own anger, their own deficits that they never dealt with, that they took out on other people, like me, a lowly lieutenant, or just breaking in as a public defender, trying cases in front of the judge. I don't like hate. I'm hoping that you don't like it either. Stay with love. You know, it's a better virtue. Love. Love is all you need. Who the hell was that? In the 60s? I mean, was it the Beatles? The Beatles have so much to say. I mean, when you think about I can get by with a little help from my friends, it's not just a little help. It's a great big help. Because without friends, you ain't nothing. You are going to be that lonely person who's going to be all alone, cranky, and was it cudmudgeon? I can't even pronounce it. And you're not going to have someone that can come visit you. You're not going to have someone that you can go and help. And you need to help people in this life. You need to elevate, lift them, not so much for your own benefit, but for the benefit of nature. We're here not to fight with one another. We're here not to abuse one another. We're here to cooperate and work within a social system, a society, where we look out for each other. Too often we want to get ahead. We want not to look out for one another, but only for ourselves. That's not the way. And that's the quick way to loneliness.
Michael, Wikipedia says that loneliness has been described as a social pain. a psychological mechanism meant to alert an individual of undesired isolation and motivate her or him to seek social connections. What kind of connections does loneliness push us to search for?
I can only tell you about my experience, and that is with like-minded people. I have sought in my journey people who I want to share with, people who are not going to laugh behind my back, people who are not going to make fun of any beliefs, any crazy ideas I might have, I put on the table. I seek out people that I believe will love me back as much as I try to love them. And I can share with them and feel that I can turn my back and they won't be slandering me or gossiping about some stupid thing I may have done or said. And these are the people I seek out, particularly when I'm starting to feel lonely. Now, I'll tell you one thing. I've gotten to the point where I know there's going to come a time when I hit a descent. I will go down. I will hit near rock bottom. And if I didn't have a friend to be able to see the signals and perhaps see me going in that direction, to come over and maybe just help me along, maybe to give me a little push, maybe just say a goofy joke to help me get out of that bad spirit, I don't know what I would do. But thank God I have a friend.
Our viewer says that she does not understand yet what is true love. Does it exist?
There's different types of love. Of course, we've been accustomed to the romantic love. Now, let me just tell you where our idea of romantic love, I think, came from. I think it came from some poets during the, I hate to say it, the Crusades. That debacle of the Crusaders going out to save the world from the invaders, the Muslim invaders. Well, there were poets who wrote about their beloved. They wrote about a force that was far greater than them. And then the troubadours from Germany, from England, France, they came along and they heard these poems, the poems of Rumi and some of the Sufi who were praising their beloved, their love. And the English, French, German people mistook it. They mistook it for sexual love. And they came back and they introduced the whole idea of romance. Knighthood flourished with the romance. And here they were talking about nature, the force that's out there that we have been brought into the world with, and we're going to go out of the world with also.
Michael,
that's love.
So then what does loneliness have to do with spirituality? Vasir Mutar asks, isn't the way to spirituality a lonely way? Because it is only you and what he says the upper force, or what you're talking about, nature.
You've got a very good point. Sometimes we must walk the lonely path. The lonely path, unfortunately, seems like a desperate path, a path of isolation, a path of almost desperation. It is just you at times. You and whatever you feel within you. Now, the spiritual path is where you start to see that you are not alone. Yes, you, the I, the ego that's in you, you can feel as if you're disconnected, that you're only one. But in reality, if you have the opportunity to go deep within, to let yourself feel the love that you have been given from the day you were born, and that you still have, and that you can tap into whenever you feel the loneliness. Loneliness can be the opportunity. It can be the chance for you, for me, for anyone to come to a state of mind, a collectiveness with others of true love. We're going to take a break right now, but we'll be right back. Stay tuned.